Yo, what is happening, guys? How are you doing? Welcome back to Rule of Two Review. Today, we're going to talk about the fight of the century. We're talking about the fight for the Nintendo Switch Lite. So I know that this is the third video in a row where I've centered a topic around the reveal of the Nintendo Switch Lite, but it really is that big of a deal. The news was that huge, and there are a lot of implications following the reveal of the Nintendo Switch Lite. Obviously, mostly for Nintendo as a company and a business, and what Nintendo fans and consumers are going to be getting out of Nintendo and the Switch kind of brand, so to speak. So that's why there's so many video topics kind of rolling around in my head, and that I'm making these videos about. I promise not to continue to spam you guys with like 100 Switch Lite videos in a row, although I'm probably going to do at least one more. Either way, that stuff aside, let's get to the actual topic at hand today, which, like I said, is the fight for the Nintendo Switch Lite. And what I mean when I say that is really just looking at how divisive the Nintendo Switch Lite has really become. And it is not something that I expected. If we go back over the past 8-9 months, a year, since we've been talking about the idea of a Nintendo Switch Mini and a Pro, and most of us started to hear rumors, and there were plenty of stories that have come out pretty much all throughout 2019 so far, letting us know that there was a good chance a Nintendo Switch Mini was going to be revealed. And throughout that whole time, at least for myself, whenever I thought about the idea of a Nintendo Switch Mini or some sort of portable, focused, or different version of the Switch actually existing, I never really saw it as being something so controversial. I just always assumed, you know, as I started to believe more and more in it being real, I was thinking, yeah, one day it'll be real probably, and Nintendo will show it, and it's going to probably be fine and cool, and people will probably like it and be excited for it. I never really expected it to be so divisive, and really the Nintendo Switch Lite, you guys, if you look at the reactions online, and videos, and podcasts, and tweets, and YouTube stuff, it's like a lot of people have very strong opinions almost completely on one side or another about this thing. And I just thought it was very interesting. It's a little bit unfortunate, but it's also very interesting, and I kind of wanted to discuss and dissect that a little bit. I will say that, at the end of the day, I do think it's always good when people can have really strong, passionate, firm opinions about any sort of topic, especially if we talk about benign, trivial stuff like video game topics. I think it's good to kind of have your flag firmly planted in the sand of one side or another. Obviously, how you go about defending or talking about that opinion is the difference maker. You know, do you talk about it like you're an asshole and you try to make other people feel completely stupid for disagreeing with your opinion? Or do you just state, I feel strongly about this thing this way for these reasons because that's what feels good to me? Those are two different approaches to kind of talking about your opinion. And again, to me, the controversy with the Switch Lite has come from people being pretty vitriolic, and in some cases really toxic. Not too many, but there are some instances out there of people being really toxic about defending their opinion. And this is both sides. These are the people who very much love the idea of the Lite, and they can't wait for it, and they think it's great, and they think everyone should love it. And this comes from the people who also, for some reason, really actively hate it and think it's stupid that it even exists and think it's dumb that anyone would be interested in it. And I'll tell you guys my opinion right now. I think both extremes are idiots and total morons and are basically coming off, like I said a minute ago, kind of like assholes. And it is the extremes I'm talking about, not the people who waver in the middle, who are kind of middle of the road, or the people who tend to like it or tend to dislike it. Those are usually the more rational people and the more level-headed and logical people, the people who think, okay, I just have this opinion, and if some people disagree, that's fine, and it is what it is. And, you know, maybe it's because I feel like that's where I fall. You know, I discussed it for like 16 minutes on that kind of breakdown of the actual reveal of the Switch Lite. I really feel, you know, pretty proud to say that I fall comfortably in the middle, and that I don't think I've treated this thing like a jerk to most people, the way I'm seeing so many other people act like jerks to other people just because of a new video game device. I am not impressed with the Switch Lite. I see it as a disappointment, and when I say disappointment, it's because leading into a reveal of a Nintendo Switch Mini or Lite, I was hoping to see it be designed in such a way that I found compelling, and I would have said, wow, that's a great quality device, Nintendo. I certainly love my regular Switch, but that looks so great for XYZ reason. I suddenly want to go spend more money on this new device. But they have designed it in such a way that it's not appealing to me. It really takes too many things away from the concept of the Switch for me to be interested, and so that's disappointing to me. For me, opening up my bank account and spending my money that I work for every day on that device. However, again, as I stated in that video, the existence of this thing just being real, and the fact that there are plenty of people out there who like it and are excited about it, that doesn't affect me. This thing isn't inhibiting or affecting my video game time or my Nintendo Switch time, just like it's not affecting any of you out there who maybe don't like the Switch Lite. And I feel like as long as people can have that approach, like, it doesn't look great for me, but it's not hurting me that it exists, so who even cares, then I think we would probably see a pretty kind of peaceful coexistence. But that's not the way of it right now. We have those two extremes that I said a minute ago are complete idiots. These are people who just don't get it, and they cannot think outside their tiny box of thought. You know, I said this in a video recently about a different topic, and I'll say it again here. There are 7 billion people on this planet with 7 billion different opinions and likes and desires. And so if you have a specific opinion and like and desire about a video game device, that doesn't mean that the next video game device needs to cater only to your one desire and opinion, because there's 6.9 billion other people out there who might want something totally different. And so all a device has to do is cater to what most or a lot of people want and just do the thing it's designed to do. If we look at the Switch Lite, one of the few positive things I can say about it is I do think it's doing what Nintendo is designing it to do. And to me, that is harmless. It also is good hardware design. They had a focus, they had a path in mind for the Switch Lite. Make something that's portable focused, it's going to be portable only, it's going to be more compact, it's going to save people money. That's what we need it to be, and we're going to make sure that messaging is out there so that people who buy this thing know what they're buying, and therefore it should satisfy most people who are interested in owning it. It's really simple, to me at least. And that is great design. And I think that is what a video game device, or really any product, is supposed to do. Just deliver on what you want it to be. But in the gaming community, and definitely, most especially in the Nintendo community, people get very heated and very passionate, and in many, many cases, too defensive about things that they believe. I mean, there are always times and reasons to be somewhat defensive about a stance on something or your opinion on something, whether you're talking about something important and meaningful like politics, or something, like I said, totally trivial and not actually important, which is video games. Yes, we should have opinions that we believe in so much we want to defend them and discuss why we believe them. But with stuff like this that we see so often in the gaming community and the Nintendo community, I think we see instances where people will just take it too far. And if somebody thinks the Switch Lite is dumb and is not appealing to them, therefore it shouldn't even exist, a lot of people, and I'm obviously not necessarily, I'm not calling anyone out, I'm not talking to any one person, I'm talking to the people out there guilty of doing this. A lot of people seem to just not be mature enough and experienced enough in life, whether they're a teenager who doesn't have experience, or they're an adult that somehow never learned experience. These people don't have enough maturity to handle the fact that their opinion is A and other people's opinion is B, but people with opinion B aren't mean, terrible, horrible assholes just because they don't agree. You can hate the Switch Lite, but let other people like the Nintendo Switch Lite, or vice versa. Why the Switch Lite specifically has become so divisive for a lot of people and so controversial, I mean, it's hard for me to actually have an answer to that. The closest to an answer I can get is simply because it's a gaming device in a community where gamers just get really defensive about their opinions. And on top of that, it's a Nintendo device. And so Nintendo gamers, I'm sorry, I gotta call you guys out. And I'm in the community. I am a Nintendo fanboy, absolutely. But people in this community that we all share are way too defensive sometimes and just can't understand the fact that people are gonna feel differently. To me, the Nintendo Switch Lite, I've already said it here and I said it in my last video, it's harmless. You guys, it is harmless. If you don't like it, it's not impeding your current Nintendo Switch time or anything Nintendo is doing. It's not going to change the company going forward. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why some people are so worried about the existence of the Switch Lite and the fact that in a lot of ways it is disappointing because it doesn't do some of the things we wanted it to do. Maybe some people are worried that it's going to change Nintendo, that it's a sign Nintendo is suddenly going to become a completely different company than they've ever been, or that they're going to ruin the current Switch and they're going to say, now that the Switch Lite exists, let's stop making the current Switch. Let's take the things that people like about the Switch and just remove it from the existence of Earth. And stuff like that. And so maybe that's what they're worried about, or that it's going to change the way they approach making video games, which doesn't really make sense to me because I don't see that being true at all. There's no reason to believe that. You know, there is a little bit of a conversation I've seen out there, and I even had with someone recently too, about whether or not developers, both Nintendo and third-party developers, might approach making games differently because the Switch Lite focuses on portable play, and as we know, when a game is being played portably, it dynamically changes like the resolution and frame rate, sometimes the performance of the game, and then of course it becomes possible for developers to make it run differently when it's docked because the docked adds some extra, I don't know, abilities to the Switch, usually like in terms of resolution and stuff. And so people have talked about, both in a good and a bad way, that maybe it's going to change how people make games, and maybe it could be for the worse. I mean, you know, I'm not the expert on this stuff. I say it every time this comes up, you guys know. I'm not a tech spec guy. Don't really understand a lot of this stuff. But just, you know, using my own logical brain and my experience of 35 years playing video games, and Nintendo specifically even, I don't think that that's going to be the case. I mean, the Switch is made to be pretty ubiquitous as far as how games play and look and feel. And the fact that games, yes, they might get different performance when docked and undocked, but they're also made to instantly change the second. I mean, I even snapped, right? The second you dock it, it's suddenly doing the docked thing on your TV. The second you pull it off, it's suddenly doing the portable thing on the Switch screen. That dynamic change is so instant that I feel like I just can't imagine developers are putting an insane amount of resources into making it possible to play one or the other. I mean, it's not a Wii U situation where when a game had to be developed to run on the TV and the gamepad at the same time, where they had to sacrifice some aspects of the game. It's not that. Star Fox Zero is the perfect example. A lot of people felt the graphics in Star Fox Zero weren't as good as they wanted, or weren't as good as the Wii U could do, which I do think is true, but Miyamoto said, yes, but we designed the game to be running the game twice at the same time, always. The entire visual game world is running in the third-person perspective on your TV and in the first-person perspective on the gamepad at the same time. So the entire game is being rendered twice at all times. And so they had to scale back some aspects of that game to make it run that way. And like, I got that. That made sense to me. It tracked in my brain. It wasn't lost on me what they were doing, and I still think they made a pretty decent looking and a pretty fun game out of it. I know it's controversial, but I believe that. And so I think people maybe are taking that same concept and applying it to the idea of developing games for the Switch, where you get the portable, you know, 940p, or sorry, the docked 940p, and then the portable 720p, and it's this huge tax and money sink for developers to develop games to be able to do both or whatever. Again, I'm not going to pretend to be the expert, so maybe I'm wrong in this, but I just feel in my heart of hearts and in my true gut and soul that it's not a huge issue for game developers to develop Switch games with both in mind, and that a portable-only Switch like the Lite isn't going to become this huge hindrance to game design for Nintendo Switch games in the future. Whether it's Nintendo or third party, I don't know. I just don't see that being a problem, you guys. If any of you guys are more experts on that field and you can tell me that I'm wrong in the comments, then I more than welcome you to do so. I would rather get the answers on if that's true or not from people who know. But until I hear one way or another, I feel pretty good about my stance. I just don't think that that's an issue, how developers are going to develop games for a portable-only Switch Lite compared to just a regular Switch that can dock. I don't see that being an issue, so... at the end of the day, why is this Switch Lite so controversial? Why is it divisive to the point that I even wanted to make this video? I think it's what I already said. I just think that gamers and Nintendo fans, sometimes, I'm not talking to you guys, I'm not calling out any other YouTubers, that's not what I'm doing. This is all about reactions we've seen on Twitter and YouTube comments all over the place. I just think that sometimes we in these communities struggle to handle our opinions and emotions well. And the Switch Lite is just a different kind of device than some people thought. The big thing is not being able to be played on your TV. People talk about it not being able to be docked, and I don't see it as a not being able to be docked situation. I see it as a not being playable on the TV situation, because I've said for months, my theory was that it could either be docked in some way or another, or just plug the bastard into your TV. And now that we've seen a Switch Lite confirmed, I still feel that way. I still feel like this thing didn't have to be able to dock specifically. Plug it into a TV, Nintendo. We all know the dock is basically that anyway. It's just a fancy $90 version of a cable that's plugging from the bottom of the Switch into the HDMI in the TV. And so you could make a freaking cable for $7.99 that goes from here to the back of your TV. And I'm sure you don't have to change the design of the Switch Lite to do so. And so that's the thing, is people talk about, oh, of course the Switch can't do it. Like, it's too small to be docked. Yeah, it doesn't have to have a dock to plug into a TV. I know that that's true. And so anyway, I'm getting off the rails at the end of this video. The point is, it's just changed what people thought it was going to be. People don't like anything not existing that's catered just to them. And with 7 billion people on the planet, you're never going to make all 7 billion happy. And the problem is people just can't keep their mouth shut. They can't just be like, well, I don't think it looks very great, but I don't really care. You know, I mean, that was my approach. I don't think it looks very great, but I don't care. And I'm very happy for everyone who wants one to buy one and to enjoy it. I think it's a quality made product, other than the removal of TV play. I do think that was a design mistake, but I don't think it's not a quality product. It's clearly going to be a well-made, well-built machine, and it's still a Switch playing Switch games, and the games are what matter. It's going to play fantastic video games, so that also makes it quality simply because the library is so dope. So anyway, I gotta end this. Here at the end, I'm starting to get heated, and I don't want to suddenly rant in like the 15th minute of this video that I just need to end. So that's what I think is going on. The Switch is controversial. The Switch Lite, I should say. It's controversial. It's divisive. Why is it? These are some of my thoughts. What do you guys think? What are your personal opinions on the Switch Lite? And also, why do you see so much division and controversy and vitriol between people on their opinions about the Switch Lite? What's going on here? What do you guys think? And with that, this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Ro2R Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.